Hi, friends! If this joke brought a smile to your face, make sure to subscribe.
Chuck Norris parks his car in a no-parking zone to buy some groceries. When he returns to his car, he sees a cop standing there. "Is that your car?" he asks. "Yes, what's the problem?" asks Chuck. The cop points at the big no-parking sign and says, "Sorry, sir, it looks like we put that sign in the wrong place." An old man was walking in a park adjoining the cliff famous for suicide. When he saw a young woman standing at the edge, contemplating suicide, he approached her. She, "Don't come near me. Since you are going to die anyway, why can't you make this old man happy with a quickie?" She shrieked, "Over my dead body, you filthy pervert." Old man, "Okay, if that's the case, I will walk down and wait for you at the bottom." And then he walked away. The woman stood for another 10 minutes, came back to her car, and left. The old man who was watching her from the bushes sighed. 7 suicide attempts saved this month. A 17-year-old boy who works part-time at Pizza Hut drives up to park in front of the house in a beautiful Porsche. Naturally, his parents know that there's no way he earned enough with his after-school job to buy such a car. "Where did you get that car?" his mom and dad screamed in shock. "I bought it today," replied the teen calmly. "With what money, young man?" his mom demands. "We know how much a Porsche costs, and you cannot afford it." "Well, it's used, and I got a good deal," says the boy. "This one cost me $20. "Who on earth would sell a car like that for $20? "The woman up the street," the boy replies. "I don't know her name. She just moved in. She ordered a pizza, and when I delivered it to her, she asked me if I wanted to buy a Porsche for $20. The boy's dad and mom hurry over to their new neighbor's house, ready to demand an explanation. Curiously, their new neighbor is calmly planting flowers in her front yard. "I'm the father of the kid you just sold a sports car to for $20, the dad says. "I need an explanation from you." "Well," the woman says, not looking up from her garden, "this morning I got a phone call from my husband. I thought he was on a business trip in Florida, but it seems he has run off to Hawaii with his secretary and doesn't intend to come back." "What on earth does that have to do with selling our son a Porsche for $20? The boy's mom asks, utterly perplexed. The new neighbor smiles very big and pauses for a minute. "Well, my husband asked me to sell his new Porsche and send him the money, so I did." A police officer spots a car parked in a popular makeout spot late one night and decides to investigate. He sees a young man behind the wheel reading a newspaper and a young woman in the passenger seat knitting. This is a puzzling sight, so he decides to find out more about these individuals. "How old are you?" he asks the guy. 21, officer, he replies. "What about you?" he asks the girl. She looks at her watch. "In about 10 minutes, I'll be 18. An Irishman is trying to find a parking space outside his local pub on a busy evening, but cannot find a single one. He looks skyward and says, "Lord, if you grant me this space, I'll come to church every Sunday like a good Catholic should." Lo and behold, a space opens up right in front of him, at which time he looks skyward again and says, "Never mind, I found one." An elderly couple was celebrating their 60th wedding anniversary. They decided to recreate their first date and go to the same restaurant they went to when they were young. They ordered the same food, drank the same wine, and reminisced about their past. After the meal, the husband said to his wife, "Do you remember what we did after we left the restaurant?" The wife smiled and said, "Yes. We went to the park and made love under a tree." The husband said, "How about we do that again?" The wife agreed, and they walked to the park. As they reached the tree, the husband kissed his wife passionately and lifted her skirt. He was about to enter her when he heard a loud voice from above. "Hey, what are you doing down there?" It was a policeman who was patrolling the park. The husband quickly pulled his pants up and said, "Officer, we are just an old couple who wanted to relive our youth." The policeman said, Well, I'm sorry to interrupt, but you can't do that here. This is public park. The husband said, "But officer, we did this 60 years ago and nobody stopped us." The policeman said, "That's because 60 years ago this was not a park. Ha, it was a cemetery. A stranger finds two Frenchmen throwing coins in a park. When the stranger asks why the Frenchmen are doing that, one of them replies, 'We are trying to see who can throw these coins the highest. Whoever wins owes the other a hot dog.'" But suddenly, the other Frenchman interjects, "Wait! I thought we were going off distance, not height, and the prize was supposed to be all the fallen change that we threw." Confused, the first Frenchman responds, "No, what? I never said that. What did you even hear me say?" Annoyed, the second Frenchman replies, "I remember you did. You said we were going to see who gets the franc further." Little Johnny sees his dad's car passing the playground and going into the woods. Curious, he follows the car and sees Daddy and Aunt Jane kissing. Johnny finds this so exciting and can barely contain himself as he runs home and starts to tell his mother excitedly, "Mommy, Mommy, I was at the playground and Daddy and..." Mommy tells him to slow down, but that she wants to hear the story, so Johnny tells her, "I was at the playground and I saw Daddy's car go into the woods with Aunt Jane. I went to look and Daddy was giving Aunt Jane a big kiss. Then he helped her take off her shirt. Then Aunt Jane helped Daddy take his pants off. Then Aunt Jane laid down on the seat. Then Daddy..." At this point, Mommy cut him off and said, "Johnny, this is such an interesting story. Suppose you save the rest of it for supper time. I want to see the look on Daddy's face when you tell him tonight." At the dinner table, Mommy asks Johnny to tell his story. He describes the car into the woods, the undressing, laying down on the seat, and then Daddy and Aunt Jane did that same thing Mommy and Uncle Jeff used to do when Daddy was in the Army. A man is walking through the park when he spots an elderly man crying his eyes out on a park bench. Feeling empathic, he sits down beside the man and tries to initiate conversation. "Troubles with the wife?" he asks gently. "Whoa, wife? No, not at all. I have an amazing wife at home. She's a beautiful person. We've been married for 50 years. She's an amazing cook, too." "Oh, trouble with your kids?" "My kids? No, not at all. I've got a litter of handsome and successful kids at home, and they all married great people that I approve of." "Really? Well, money trouble then." "Money? No, I have all the money I could possibly want at home in my safe. I inherited millions from my father. I invested all of it, and I'm getting tens of thousands of dollars in return every month." "Well, is there a problem with your house, then?" "My house? No, I live in a beautiful 3-story mansion with servants, a pool, and a double garage." "Then what the hell are you crying for, old man?" "I can't remember where I live." My wife came into the bathroom as I was getting dressed after my morning shower. I put my underwear on and pulled them up. Then I put my pants on, pulled them up, and told her I had to park the old guy in the right spot. Now my wife and I have been married for just a bit over 40 years, but had dated for 5 years prior to that, so this is nothing new for us. I carry on like this a lot, and she never comments. She just smiles and carries on pretty much ignoring me, but today she really surprised me and actually made a funny remark. She looked at me and said, "So, that's where handicap parking is," and walked out. I cracked up. True story. It happened this morning.